Hi, everyone.
Hi.
A lot of our students struggle specifically with tolerating getting a haircut. And this is an area that can really affect, the quality of life for a family when every time they take their child to get a haircut, could be every 6 weeks, could be once a month, there's major tantrums and major meltdowns. And then if the child's not tolerating a haircut, they're not going to look messy. Families really want to be able to take their child, get a nice haircut, have them look good. So we often teach children to be able to tolerate that process.
So a lot of the times when I'm talking to parents, we get an idea that the student can't tolerate haircuts because they typically have a buzz cut with like a big fluff of hair right here, or there's a big chunk of hair missing, or their hair is uneven because the student is literally trying to move as he's getting his hair cut. I've also heard from stories from parents that are just heartbreaking, where they have to it takes three of them to hold down their child to get their hair cut, or, the child will get their hair cut, but only if they've got the iPad right here. So, we really want to make sure that the student can tolerate this type of thing because it is a massive life skill that they're always going to need. So what we typically do is we try to utilize our ABA principles of writing a task analysis and then chaining. So we typically teach this in a forward chain. So, the first step isn't even going to the barber and tolerating that. The first step is really tolerating the presence of the hairdressing stuff. So, for instance, what do we use at the hairdresser? We usually use a cape, scissors, spray bottle, razor, sometimes a towel, etc. So typically it would be having all of these items present. You can go out and buy a cheap cape from the dollar store. You can buy these things for relatively inexpensive. Or if you've got a really good barber, that barber may be willing to lend that to you for a couple weeks. So anyways, we have the student tolerate just the presence of that. Once they can tolerate the presence for even a second, then their access reinforcement. And then it would be, let's tolerate it for 30 seconds, 1 minute, etc. Once the student's able to tolerate the items out and present, then the next step would be having the student tolerate maybe just a towel wrapped around their neck, because that would be the first step when you're going to the barbers. Then the next step would be tolerating having a towel and the cape wrapped around, and then maybe it's tolerating after you've got the cape just brushing your hair, and then working your way up. So then what comes next? Spraying your hair, combing it, maybe the scissors of just around the ear, etc., etc. So really writing a task analysis with your team is the most important step of teaching the student to tolerate hairdressing. If you've got a really, really good task analysis, then you can go step by step and run that. The other thing would be to run it often. So, if you do this and you run it once every 2 weeks, or if you even run it, once for 5 seconds throughout a 3-hour session, it's not enough. You want to be able to get at least 5 trials, I would say, in a 3-hour session daily. And if you can't do it all yourself because the student doesn't have enough sessions, then you would ask the student's parents or a sibling or somebody else to do this with them on a regular basis so that they're accessing these materials on a regular basis and realizing that it's okay, nothing bad happens when you get your hair cut.
And in the meantime, because you will need to cut their hair, we do recommend talk to your local barber and find a place that's very child friendly and that would understand what accommodations might need to be made in the meantime, because it will take time. They're not going to learn it from one haircut to the next. So talk to your barber, find a place that's understanding, and you can go ahead and download that task analysis from our website in the free materials section and go ahead and start getting our kids to tolerate their haircuts.